Hey there, Wizard Apprentices. So, I got something special today. It's not really a training video, it's more of a sneak peek. So, Spring 19 for Salesforce is in the pre-release orgs, and with that is the new Flow Builder. So, this is the non-Flash builder that we've been expecting for a few years now. And we're going to do kind of like a first-hand look approach at what we can do with the new Flow Builder, what does it look like, and I'm going to be sharing this with you. So let's just take a look and see what's new. All right, so I've already logged into my pre-release org, and I've gone to the setup menu and to Flow. If you were lucky enough to kind of get the really early pre-release kind of look, you'll notice that the new Flow Builder button is not in here. It's just new Flow. We have a little bit of information, including a link to help document to what's different in Flow Builder. And we'll take a look at that maybe a little bit later. I want to dive in and take a look at what happens when I click New Flow. So first thing that I'm really excited about, there was no prompt to say this doesn't work with Flash. We get a pop-up here to say, hey, we're now looking at the Lightning Flow Builder. And again, that link to take us to say what's different. And we'll take a look at that later. So people who have been familiar with Flow, this is a little similar but different. We have a canvas type thing here in the main page where we actually keep our items that are included in the flow, and then what we can select our palette off to the left. You'll notice that there's a lot kind of different. We don't have these record creates and fast creates options. It's just create records, update records, get records. So things have been simplified. And the icons are a lot more colorful. And let's take a look. So we start with a start element, and we can click and drag this wonderful thing circle to connect, but we don't have another element. Let's start with a screen. So we'll go click and drop a screen. Here's all our various inputs. I see a lot of different types of fields here that were not available. We got address, checkboxes, currencies, date, and daytime. That's always lovely. Multi-select pick list. We don't use multi-select pick list, do we? No, we don't want to use it. Display text. Let's do some display text. So we'll drag and drop. Give it a name, and let's call this the display instructions. Oh, it's an API name, can't have spaces. And let's put something in here. Looks like we have our normal insert a resource here with some global variables to get access to current records and stages and times, as well as any variables that we may have created in the flow. One thing I do see that's missing is there's no rich text. If you remember when you're building flow in the current flow builder that's available in winter, you get that little T that shows up in the right hand corner, and that's not here. So I'm not sure if that means we have no rich text options or if it's just not coming. Again, this is pre-release, so it is kind of what is going to be out when Spring 19 shows up, but it's not a guarantee. Things can and do change between what we get in our pre-release orgs and what eventually gets to our production environment or even our sandbox environment. Let's go and check out a few more things here. There's something called a slider. That seems new. Let's see, can I add it? Plop. And give it a name. We'll just call this slider. Select a value. Here's the values for our sliders. It looks like we have equivalent to empty string, false, true. Let's just call it true because I have no idea what this does. Actually, no, that's probably the label. That's probably labeled for this. So this is probably the name of the slider. And it looks like we're sliding we're sliding across our ranges. Let's make this 10, and we'll just call it done. What else? Toggles, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna guess these are lightning components based on the little icon. So that seems pretty cool. Straightforward. Let's get rid of that. And we need to give this a screen name. So this is my first screen test. Looks like we can control navigation, display, hide filters. Those are pretty much the same. Help text, that's pretty cool. Let's go click done. So I have this here. It looks like I can move it pretty much wherever I want to. And connect. Seems pretty straightforward. Let's go and grab some records. So let's grab records. Let's see. Let's go and grab some account. I like this. It shows both the label and the API name and the object. I'm trying to remember if I don't think I have any custom objects in here. Let's see. Well, I think I did. Let's see. I wonder if I could just do look at that. Wizardcast episodes. Of course, that's a custom object in this org. So that's kind of nice. You can see we have the label as well as the API name. That is significantly easier. And I really liked this type ahead search. That's pretty cool. So we can get all records, or we can get records that meet certain information. And since I have no idea about the data that's in here, we're just going to say grab everything. That is kind of new. I think it's a little bit more clear. In the current version, you just have a list of criteria to specify what you want to look up. And we'll sort. And how many records? Only the first record, all records. Oh, look at that. The screen updated based on what I selected here. So this says, where do I want to store it? Together in a record variable or in separate variables. But if I select all records, that goes away. And I can select where it's null. And then let's go create our first variable. So this is a record collection. And I'm going to assume this is just variable. In the current flow builder, we have a whole bunch of different types, like two different collections, just regular collections and S-object collections, which were meant for more than one Salesforce record. I'm going to guess here that it is just variable. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see what's under data type. Record. Info, allow multiple values for collection. Okay. So this is my naming scheme is always starting with VR. So we're hoping to get records. We're going to allow multiple records, and we want to get accounts. And here's our available for input or output. So for experienced flow builders, this is the ability to say, I want to set this value from outside of the flow. For example, passing it in through a Visualforce page or process builder. We're going to leave those blank. I just hit done. And now there's my record collection variable. And now we can select the fields. So let's select name. Let's grab a couple others here. Name. We already get the ID. Let's grab billing state. And we'll just grab something. Owner ID. I like that the ID is always the default. So done. Oh, I have an error. Where's my error? Oh, I missed a field. So let's just delete that. Okay. So far, pretty straightforward. I'm a little disappointed here that we don't have kind of like a locking option. Maybe that will come in place, or some sort of grid to help keep our flows neat. I also can't highlight, so I can't grab and move more than one element on the palette or on the canvas here at a time. Let's move forward. Let's check out loops. So common thing, we grab records, we loop through records. See if that's changed. And it looks very, very similar here. We go grab our collections. I should have noted that being to be a collection. Oh well. First item to last item to first item. That's nice. And then we need to do a variable to hold an individual record. So since I screwed up on my naming convention last time, we'll just choose that. We only want one, and it's an account, and done. I'm a little sad that when I create a new resource that it is not automatically filling this in here, but it's not too big of a deal. And you'll notice here, it's only displaying the resource that I just created here for the variable to hold one record. It's not displaying the first one, which holds multiple records, since we're specifically only going to look at one record at a time here. So with it done, let's do a connection. And let's do a decision here. Let's call this name test. Name. I'm just making things up here as we go along. Type in a name, didn't do anything. That's sad. So that's our collection. Here we go. So it does work. You just have to have the resource selected. I can't go straight to name, which is a little different how it's handled currently. So it's something we're going to have to get used to. And we'll do account includes wizard, and we'll just keep the default outcome. And what should we do here? Let's create an assignment, and we'll assign a new value. And just for the fun of it, we're just going to change something on here. So let's give this a new account number. Okay. Great. And let's do an assignment if it's not. Select the same field, and we'll just say it's no wizard. I know this is not the greatest of flow examples, but I want to test out as many of these particular type of items. So we have our loop, and we'll select the decision. This is the same as the current one, being able to say how we want to loop through them. And decisions look like they are working the exact same way. I do like that the lines here seem to be a lot more cleaner than the current flow version. I cannot cross. Oh yeah, you can cross lines, but it's a little bit more challenging. And let's see, what do we do? Perform an action outside of the flow. Choose your org's custom create and update actions. I wonder what shows up here. Add member, add quick. So these are all the quick actions. So this used to be all in one listing here. Well, I don't want to do those. Call subflows, email actions, APAX actions. So let's just do a simple. No, let's not do an email alert. Let's just make this easy. We're going to go back here and add to update collection. So we need to create another resource. It'll be another variable. Select records. We want multiples. Count. Here we're going to select our collections, select add, and we're going to add the single variable. Done. Connect it back through, and then this goes up to our loop. Yeah, it looks a little bit cleaner. And then we do an update. So use IDs in all fields values from a record variable or record collection. Specify conditions to identify records and set fields individually. Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to want to play around with that later. But let's go ahead and select our updates for right now. So pretty simple flow. I think this looks a lot nicer than what we currently have. It's our current flow builder is kind of very grayish looking. Here we have lots of nice little colors, and I think it's a lot easier to determine what is happening in this particular flow. Our palette's a lot simpler. I do like the little arrows to show that there's additional things that we can select. Looks pretty nice. Let's go save this. And this is, it's not on auto launch flow because we have a screen. So it's screen flow. Saving. Issues. So in the current flow builder, this is be a pop-up. Let's see, we have 2 warnings. These issues don't prevent activation. Screen tests includes components that require lightning runtime. That's a good question. I think I have those. I think I have lightning runtime installed. We'll find out. The type input parameter label does not match the assigned value. That's probably a bigger problem. So I had to double click in order to open this. And you know, just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to go ahead and delete that component. And let's save this. No option to looks like to activate it from the builder. So I think we have to close down the builder and come back. Things that I do see that are missing here is there's no copy and paste element. So our current flow builder, we could select an element or even elements and click a button to copy and then paste and duplicate, essentially clone those elements very quickly. That's no longer here, at least in this pre-release version. I think pretty much all the actions are the same. We got debug. Let's see, we got run. So I think most of what we currently have is here. There's just some differences. There is no, if I hover over these, it's nice to go through and say, hey, this is what it does, or this is what the element is. There is no little pencil to edit that requires a double click. There is no trash can. So oh, there it is. You have to select, and then you can either hit the delete key or click on the trash can. The start element, so in the current flow builder, there's that little start arrow we have to select. That is not an option. It's always going to come from this first item. Let's just run it and see what happens. So let's run it, and here, hi, I'm in instructions for a screen flow. Great. Next. And now it's looping through, and it's going to just repeat because I did not put anything at the end of my update to say that it was done. So that's a pretty interesting look. I mean, I like the look and feel of this. It is cleaner. It's a lot more visible. I'll be interested to see if the capabilities of what we can do with this is going to increase now that we have a flow builder. I mean, it looks very much like a, say, Journey Builder for Marketing Cloud. I think just playing around with this, the arrows are a lot more crisp, but since there's no lock, I mean, we can move these wherever we want. So, I mean, this is obviously something that's going to be very nonsensical. But, you know, compared to what we have now, I think this is a big improvement. So let's do a quick side-by-side comparison. On the left, we can see we have the new flow builder. On the right, we have the current one available to us. I mean, the UI is just completely different. I think it's a lot cleaner on the left and the new builder, and then the Lightning Flow builder, and then the Cloud Designer. You will notice there's no draft tool anymore, which I'm okay with that. I pretty much never used this except for in some Scrum meetings or demos, and I'm okay. You'll notice here I can select multiple elements at one time. Can't do that here if I click and drag. There's no real panning option here. I can do some zooming in and zooming out. I can do zoom in and zoom out here. And then there's this turn on pan mode, which gives me the little hand so I can move around my flow. That's kind of nice. I hope there's a shortcut to select between those modes. I really like this fit to canvas. That's pretty cool. Other changes that I see here is we take a look at our palette, all the different items we have here versus the simplified version. If we take a look at the logic, we still have the same logic. Wait has been changed to be called pause. Imagine the function of it's going to be the exact same thing. For our data items, instead of having record versions and fast versions, we have just one set of items. That's, I think, makes a lot more sense, and I think it's going to clean up a lot of confusion that people had. When should I use a record create versus a fast create? And then our actions. I think this is the biggest change for me, because when we look at the palette, at least, we can see headers and all the different actions underneath our headers. And that's not here. So when I have, when I want to select an action, I can quickly see the action here. I'm going to have to know what's considered a core action, what's not a core action. I don't have any customized local actions, so I'm not sure what's going to be included in this action section for customization. And I have to go and find it this way. I mean, I don't see any really strong differences, but hopefully if we have a custom lightning action here, it's going to be called out separately other than core. Other things that I can see that are different. This is something I missed when we first looked at it. The Cloud Designer has these undo and redo buttons. I don't see that in the new builder. This was kind of nice if you accidentally deleted something, or if you just went, oh no, I didn't need that, and undo it. I didn't use it that often, so I don't think I'm going to necessarily miss it. The one I am going to miss, though, are these two buttons, the copy and paste, because here I can highlight copy and paste, and I can instantly get these two elements. Can't do that in the new one. Even if I just select one, I don't see the option to duplicate, for example, the screen thing. And it looks like if I'm in pan mode, I can't select to open this element. So let's double click, take a look. I don't see a clone option here, so I'm going to guess that that's not available right now in the new builder. Maybe it's something that will be coming. Who knows, it might be there by the time this reaches our production environments. Other changes that I can see just quickly is we'll notice that we only have 2 tabs. So in the cloud design, we have our palette, our resources, which is the different types of things we can create, and then the explorer, which are the different variables, formulas, and things that we created here. In the new builder, it looks like it's simply giving us an option to create a new resource and then displaying the different types of items we've already created. So it's kind of combining the resource tab and the explorer tab together. Let's see, what other things do we want to take a look at? You'll notice here that in the cloud design, we got that green arrow that I talked about. That's been replaced with the start element. I'm okay with that. I do like the fact that the lines in the new builder here is a lot more cleaner than the funky lines you can have here in the cloud designer. I'm going to guess there's probably a few other minor updates. But here's a quick compare contrast. It's the exact same flow. It's doing the exact same thing. It's organized very similarly here. Let me actually move our add to collection over to the right so we can kind of get an idea of what it's similar. And let's pan it over just a tiny bit. Let's make it a little bit tighter so we can do a better compare and contrast. I really don't like that I'm having to click this to go move from select to pan. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this kind of sneak peek of what the new flow builder looks like in spring 19 pre-release, and the compare and contrast between these two different flows. Obviously with the new builder coming out, there's going to be a lot more new tutorials that are going to be coming. I'll probably redo some of the ones that we've already had with the old designer, just to catch up with how the new one works. But to be quite honest, when I was building these flows in the new builder and in the old cloud designer, the methodology didn't really change that much. It was very similar to building the same thing. The biggest change that I noticed is in the assignment here. So in the existing cloud designer, if I wanted to select account number, I could just type account number and it would show up. Where in the new builder, if I just type number, it doesn't show up. So that is a big contrast here. I need to select the object variable that I want to update first, and then I can get the type heads. So that is that's a pretty big difference for me, because that's going to slow me down just a little bit when I'm building these, but I don't think it's something that's terrible. So I'd love to hear what you would like to see in the new flow builder. What's exciting you? What do you like? What do you don't like? What else would you like me to show you as this moves along to get us to production? Do you want me to try building a specific type of flow? Let me know in the comments, and always, thanks for watching.